So our topic today is about localizing the SDGs. We have three main themes. First, we will have an introduction. I think it's a compulsory way to start to look at what are the causality effects in background causing all this. We will then deep dive into the world of voluntary local reviews, have a look at those, and finally look at that. How does the world look after the VLR? How to make sense, how to integrate and localize the SDGs into everything a city does. These three themes are then looked at from three different perspectives, kind of what are the challenges, what are the successes in all of this, and how to go forward. To start with, one fundamental reason why we are facing these issues, I believe, is the fact that we are many, closing to 8 billion, 7 plus billion at the moment, and soon 2050 estimates are 11 billion. Time will tell, but the fact is that the last 200 years we have faced very rapid population growth, and the implications are what they are. Secondly, the amount of technology, irrelevant of the geographical situation where we are on this planet, is growing actually super exponentially, so very, very fast. And at the same time, our evolution is very much the same as it was. So how do we make sense? How do we adapt to this super exponential growth of technology around us as the cities are getting smarter and smarter? I think these two issues, population growth and the amount of or the complexity of cities through technology, are at least two of many fundamental reasons. And how this then relates to a city is that in Espoo, for instance, everything is linked to the core of Espoo story. That is our strategy. That is something that we can take and see what is it that we should do, why should we do it, and where we are going. And we do that, of course, the strategy we do with our political decision makers, with officials, with stakeholders, partners, company representatives, university, etc., but also with 6-year-old kindergarten children. And we ask and we think together, how does the city of our dream look like, and how to achieve that. But it also tells, once it's done every 4 or 5 years, it also tells what we are not going to do, because there's so many guidelines, so many laws, so many possible tracks of action that one can take. You need to choose. And for us, it's the strategy, which also links us to UN, the Agenda 2030, the preamble, the declaration, and the 17 goals that manifest those very nicely. That from the perspective of Espoo, we see Agenda 2030 as a story for humanity. It's a map, it's a framework, it's a metrics, it's a vocabulary, how we can elevate humanity and at the same time make sure that planet Earth remains healthy, healthier even for the future generations. It also, this just visualize the main task for us, for cities, and also the topic of our day together is that how do you turn multilateral, interconnected, holistic SDGs to a local form? And when we look at the 17 kind of titles, we see that it's an excellent fit for a city. I mean, the 17 goals helps us to map where we are, kind of tell what is the mindset, what do we want to achieve. It's also a way to manage and lead the work, to measure it, and it's a way to communicate, kind of a lingua franca for sustainable development, if you will. But it's also challenging. Well, because they are multilateral, some of them have geographical relevance, some of them don't. And each city has to have a process where to see how can we actually achieve the SDGs. What does it mean in our context? use another term for this, a synonym, I believe, to how to localize SDGs. You could say that through a line, how to enable, inspire, and empower our citizens to find their dreams and fulfill them sustainably. For us, the first step was to do a voluntary local review. I'm sure you'll be talking about this through the day. Voluntary local review for us was a way, of course, to have a present state analysis. What is it that we are doing in order to achieve the SDGs? It was also a very good way to kind of have a little future foresight, open the window for future and see what should we do in the future as well. This is something perhaps food for thought for later discussion. Anyway, here in this slide, you can see that in Espoo, the SDG work is run through the city board. Our main mayor owns the work, and when we did the voluntary local review, we took our strategy and we asked our organization and partners, what is it that you are doing in order to achieve our strategy? And we had 1,000 projects or explanations that what is it that we are doing. And out of those, 80 were the most relevant that we then mapped and reviewed in relation to the SDGs. So that's how actually the voluntary local review in Espoo was done. And just to share some insight, first some results. We did a key indicator analysis from each individual SDG. I think this was fruitful. This was like a one-on-one, so very elementary localizing of SDGs. I think we will focus much more now. But the main thing was that we looked at the phenomena, whether it's part where no one is left behind, so a lot of social sustainable development, whether it's how we work together with our partners, or whether it's ecological sustainability. And we looked that particular phenomenon and then reviewed that with the SDGs. And so actually we found that certain phenomena typically have several SDGs that affect it. This was kind of like the two sides of the coin that we did in the voluntary local review. It was a very participatory project. To be honest, we didn't think about this when we started it. We didn't think that this was that relevant. We just simply didn't know what to do. We knew that we wanted a voluntary local review, but we didn't know how to do it. And so we started to talking to people, to a lot of people, and asking them that, how do you think we should achieve the SDGs? Many times you have to start with the discussion, what are the SDGs? I think this is the case still in many of our cities. And this led to a series of workshops. It led to a series of interviews, discussions. And before we realized, we had met close to 1,000 people face-to-face, figuring out what is it that we should do in order to really review what is being done in our city in relation with the SDGs. It was a very non-linear process. It was a very iterative, and I think the figure in the right really tells quite honestly about the fuzziness. So we had ideas, we tested them quickly, we realized that this one will work, this won't work. So now looking back, we could draw this picture on the left, so being very nice and kind of, how to say, even kind of clinical, analytical, but the reality wasn't. And I think here the big issue was that we had leadership support. So we had top management supporting our work, letting us ask the silly questions, letting us find our way. And I think this is really important, in addition to, of course, resources that will enable to work. Starting from the top management all the way to the people doing the hard work. Final of this, we're now already in the latter part of the second theme, is that this idea of a handprint effect. If a city is a person, I think fulfilling the SDGs, achieving them, is a bit like that's an exam we need to take. That we are going to school and we need to take exams, right? And for us, localizing the SDGs means that for each city, achieving the SDGs, taking the exam, is a individualized exam. And that has relevance, that has a lot of relevance, but it's not enough. We have another responsibility, and that is to, of course, help the other students to create a network of cities that do the exam, of course, but in addition, create solutions for other cities as well that are scalable. And through this, we will create a network of cities that truly achieve the planetary objective of achieving the SDGs and more. I think cities have the possibility to do this. We all know that OECD estimates that every 2 out of 3 SDGs are achieved by cities. Global Sustainable Development Report 2023 from United Nations focuses on 2 themes at the moment. That's successful case studies from SDG implementation, and the second theme is localizing SDG. So a report that's done every 4 years, one of the most important research reports that UN does, focuses solely on localizing SDGs, more or less. So we have a great role to play in this. So we drive down the footprint and we scale up our handprint together. Finally, and I know I have only a few minutes left, so how to go about, we looked at the challenges, we looked at the successes, so how do we go forward? And I take this into a research question, and that's kind of like that. If we want to say that we're making good progress with the SDGs, so we need to know at least 2 things, perhaps 3, that we are going to the right direction, and where are we right now? Perhaps what is this? What is the speed of our travel, but also to start preparing to what lies ahead. So how to do this? So how do we do the localization? And the city of Espoo, together with many other cities in Finland and abroad, and with the great help of UN Habitat, thank you for that, we are developing an analysis process, kind of like a facilitated dialogue about sense-making with the SDGs. And the aim is that we need to identify our local objectives, and we need to start understanding and create more understanding what is it that we are doing, and then link that to that locally done work to the global agenda and to the 17 goals, targets and indicators. And that's what we aim to do. And it all starts from understanding our own work. We choose a tangible project that has clear objectives, and it can be a strategy as well. We look at that and we first map that into the SDGs, and we select from 1 to 4 main SDGs. Then we map that into the world, to kind of to different dimensions. So not only ecological, yes, that's very important, also economical, social and cultural perspectives, and to the operational environment that we're in. We work a lot locally with our citizens, with our partners there. We work regionally, nationally and internationally. I think that cities have more actually international networks than national states, at least in Europe. I think this is the case. And then we can, there's 7 steps. I'm just running through a few of them to give kind of like a first idea of what this is. We can select, we can kind of like map that is the agenda and SDGs for us a framework, kind of a mindset? Is it a way to measure through indicators and lead that work? Is it a vocabulary? I believe in many cases it's all of this. And finally, and I think this is the most exciting part, I leave this to the end, it's that kind of a Hegelian dialectic approach that we have that our local objective, we look at that We look at the targets and indicators, we see what's the fit, and then through those, a synthesis is created, a new indicator, if you will, that is localized, it really serves your phenomena, and it's also directly linked to the multilateral targets and indicators and goals. I know was a very short snapshot. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day. If there's any way that we can serve you, perhaps collaborate with the sense-making process, please be in contact. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.